Today we're going to install Asfir Rock Sliders on this Jeep Gladiator. So before we begin, this Gladiator has the Rubicon Rock Sliders installed currently, and we're going to talk about the benefits of going over from this style rock slider to the Asfir Rock Slider. And one of the biggest benefits is the fact that the Asfir Rock Slider is frame mounted, really thick gauge steel, made to handle all the weight of the Jeep, rock or jack. This is a body mounted rock slider, which mounts to the tin on the underside of the body of the Gladiator. And in that case, it's just not strong enough to handle a true hit from something like a rock or to be used as a jack point. So switching over to the Asfir provides a lot of advantages in an off-road scenario. Now it's time for the install, but first we got to remove the Rubicon rock sliders. You're going to need a 13mm and a 10mm to get that done. On the Rubicon slider, there's going to be 4 13mm bolts. The first one's here. We've got our second one, our third one, and our fourth one. After you have removed the 4 13mm bolts, you're going to remove 8 10mm bolts. They are on each side of the bracket that holds to the body. 2 there, 2 here, 2 here, and the last 2 right there. Let's take these bad boys and bolt them onto the Gladiator. But first, let's look at these schematics so we understand how to read them. So on here, they got a nice little arrow, shows us the front, and then we have the left and the right side. Here in America, this is gonna be driver and passenger. If you're anywhere else in the world, you could be the same or you could be different. Just be aware that we are talking driver, passenger, left and right side, and that being the front. So first step in this is going to be the brackets. So we're starting on the passenger side, which is going to be the right side. The brackets are all labeled right side and left side, as well as the rock slider and the fascia that fills in the void in between. Everything else is not side dependent. It is location dependent though. And that's where things get a little confusing, and we're hoping to clarify some of those things. These are the tabs necessary for the right front bracket. All of the nut certs like this are going to be for the bottom of the frame, which is going to be this part of the bracket. So these are gonna go into the frame, and then once you get it into the frame, you're gonna kind of get it positioned in the proper position. And then you want this side to be up. So that way this can be flush against the frame and get full contact as you're tightening it down. And then this is going to be for the side. So you're gonna insert this into the frame, and then once you get to the hole, you kind of flip it into the hole like so, and then it'll just kind of slide through. And then once it's through, you can get your finger behind all of these, hold them in place as you put the nut on the out or the exterior of it, and that'll hold the bracket in place. You do not want to tighten anything down. Just get everything hand tight, and then get all of the components put together, and then move on to the next step. As you're putting these tabs in, we want to make sure that you're super clear on where each one of them goes. So to make that easy, the square ones like so, there's going to be one in the front, and there's going to be one in the rear as well. On the bolts, which are going to be on the side of the frame, the wider one with the bolt going through is for the front. The long one with the bolt going through is for the center. And then the skinny short one is going to go through on the rear. And for the lower bolt in the center bracket, you will be reusing the crossmember bolt. So you go loosen that, and you want to support that crossmember with a jack, and then go ahead and remove that bolt, place the bracket in, and reinsert that bolt and torque it down to proper torque specs. All right, so now we are going to install the brackets loosely, and then we will take the rock slider and loosely attach it to the brackets. And then after we've done that, we will tighten the brackets up 100%, and then we will tighten up the rock slider 100%. And the very last step, we will add this nice little fascia right here, which fills in a void that's created between them, and it makes it look really nice and sharp. This is where the first bracket is going to go on the passenger side, and as you can see, there's a single hole on the bottom here next to a slightly larger hole. That's going to be your bottom hole, and then on the side there's a large oval hole, and that will be your side hole. So this side's going to be the nut, and this side is going to be the bolt, just like so. All right, so we're gonna put in the first tab, and that is the bottom nut that goes on the bottom of the frame. So there's a hole right here. Go right in the side of that. Let that come right down. You can drop it right in there, and then slide over, find the hole here, line it up, and you're good. Now at this point, we're gonna grab the next one, which is the bolt. We're gonna go into the same hole. And this one's not quite as easy. So you feed it in, it drops into the frame. And once you're in the frame, you wanna rotate it and then bring it around. And then you grab the bolt, kind of just to guide it. And then you wanna grab the back tab, you wanna bring it past so you can get it inside all the way. And you gotta work it a little bit, but you bring it backwards, and there we go. And that way everything's inside, and now you can torque down on it, and that long arm is gonna keep it from spinning inside. So I'm going to hang it off of the side tab bolt here. So doing that, you wanna make sure you don't knock it out. So there's a hole on the back side here, and you can put your finger, oh man, I dropped it. It's a tricky one. Let's get it lined back up. There we go. There's a big hole on the back side of it, and you can put pressure on the back side of that bolt. And that way, so you can hang it off of it. Because once it's on there, there you go, it'll hold its pressure. So now you've got the lower bolt that's gonna go into the nut tab that you inserted. And for that one, you need to hold it in place. So there's a hole right in front. Stick your finger through that hole, whichever one fits. Make sure you're lined up. And then we are going to insert that into the bottom. I'm not gonna lie, this is not the simplest process to line up these tabs, but it's much better than having to weld or drill or anything. You just work it a little bit. There we go. I think I got it. Yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna tighten it as much as I can with my fingers and then let it relax. And we're gonna move on, and we're gonna put the nut and washer combination on here. So nut and washer. On the bolts, there is a lock washer. So always make sure you put a lock washer on the bolts. I will show you that on the next bracket, but there is a lock washer for the bolts, and you wanna make sure that is on there correctly. With the nuts, they are nylock. So all you need is the washer, and the nut has a built-in locking mechanism in it. So let's get the support on the back side of that bolt. There we go. There we go, nice and good. All right, so now we're moving on to the middle bracket. And on this bracket, you have to disconnect this cross member bolt right here, and you're gonna use that bolt to hold the bracket in on the bottom. So to support that cross member, because it does hold part of the gas tank in place, we're gonna put this jack underneath to make sure it doesn't move too much. Get that bolt out, and then put the bracket in, reinsert that bolt, and then we will put the tab in after that. And then as you can see, we have our Asfir skid plate right here. This is our gas skid plate, and it covers up the cross member. So we are using it as the jack point, plenty strong. You should check these guys out too, they're great. So the 18 millimeter is the socket of choice for this bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and start loosening this up, and we're gonna take it all the way out. All right, we'll grab the center bracket and install it here. And you can see there's a little bit difference from the first bracket to the second bracket. The second bracket does not have the corner cut out here. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at the difference in the brackets. So on the installation of this bracket, you insert it into this opening underneath that tab. You're not fitting it in between. It's going right into the hole, lining up with the hole underneath. and then reinsert the bolts. All right, so we've got the bracket installed with the crossmember bolt, nice and loose still. Now we're gonna insert the bolt. This one is a little tricky. You have to insert it from way back here, and then we gotta feed it all the way up and get it to poke through there. It's not an easy task, it's a doable task, but it's not the easiest. Just take your time, be patient, and utilize any holes you can get your fingers in to help you along the way. Okay, got it in all the way, and now I'm backing it up. Oh man, did I just get, oh man, I got so lucky. Yep, there you go. You saw the finger magic. Just gotta leverage it back and forth and look through that hole and watch, and you'll get it in. And then to get the nut on, put your finger on the bar right through here. Put as much pressure as you can on that bar. Obviously don't hurt yourself. It doesn't need that much pressure, but you know, it's only one finger, so do your best, hold that in place as good as you can while you tighten this on. Once you get this on there finger tight, then you're good to go. Now it'll do its job and hold it steady. All right, we're on to the third bracket, the final bracket. And like I said, I was gonna show you the lock nut on here so you understood. For the bolts, the one in the front and the one in the back, make sure you have your lock nut installed and then the washer installed. And then that's the ready to go for installation. For the back here, this little tab, as you can see, is sticking out toward the front of the vehicle, and there's a nice little indentation on the frame here. You just line those two up, and that is your third bracket location right there. So now what we're gonna do is take a couple seconds. These guys both are gonna feed through this hole and put into location. This is gonna go again through this hole, maybe, if it wants to. There we go. And then we're gonna feed it right around and pop it through, all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna jump into that real quick and get these tabs inserted properly and get that last bracket on. There we go. Get that guy on. Okay. Now, get this guy in. Again, make sure the flat, smooth side is facing down and the nut on facing up. All right, so we first thought we were gonna have some issues getting this bolt in here with the skid plate, but we were able to finagle it in there. So just take your time, go at a little bit of an outward angle, and it'll just slide, kind of just slide up in there and get in. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold this top side, line it up, and then get it screwed in. But it is possible. It's gonna take a little bit of extra effort if you have a skid plate installed. Once you have loosely tightened this up here, and I mean, it's basically tight, but it still has a little bit of movement, you can go ahead and remove the jack, and then from there on, you just tighten it and it'll pull everything into where it needs to be from there on. I'm gonna tighten this one up just a little bit, so that way we get a little more rigidity out of it. There we go. And now we will jump onto the rock slider itself and get it inserted into these brackets. So as you can see here, the two holes you see here also match up with the two holes you see on the bracket. Asfir provides some grade 8 bolts here, and with the washers and the nylock nut, these will go in. Doesn't matter which way you go in, but we looking at it, we think probably the best aesthetic look is going to be bolt head out, nut and washer on the inside the fold. You can do it however you want, but I think that'll look good. They make this out of steel. Jeez. There we go. Nice, easy insertion. If anything isn't lined up, get a rubber mallet and just give it a little tap. You don't want to hit it with a metal on metal mallet, like no metal sledgehammers, a rubber mallet, a couple little taps, get things situated, and then go ahead and slide these bolts through. So you're gonna want the washer on the outside going through the brackets, and then you want a washer on the inside, and then the nut. You go ahead and finger tight that on, and then you're gonna repeat that process on all 6 holes on all 3 brackets. Got my 19 millimeters. I'm going to tighten up all of the brackets to the frame, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so on all of these bolts, nuts, everything that you tighten down in this process, that is a 19 millimeter, needs to be torqued down to right around 63 to 65 foot-pounds, which is on their sheet is like 85 Newton meters. So just so you know, it is right around 63 to 65 foot-pounds, and you'll be good to go. All right, we're gonna install the fascia. And in doing this, we have kept the nuts and bolts loose right here on the connection point. So that way, when we bolt this in place, any adjustments we need to make, so that way we have an even spacing on that fascia against the body line here, we'll make the adjustments necessary. So we'll go and loosely put in all of these, get them, or not loosely, we'll get them all in, tighten them down, and then we'll adjust this according to get everything lined up the way we want it. And then we'll tighten down the 6 bolts, and we'll be all done here. So just like all the other bolts that have been added to this, you're gonna do 1 washer on the top, got your Allen head through the top, going down. You have a washer on the bottom, nut onto the bottom side of that, and then you just get that finger tight on there and then tighten it down with your tools. All right, so we've got the fascia all installed, nice and tight. Looking at the line, the separation, we're gonna look at separation between the fascia and the body, and we wanna have that same separation all the way down. If you don't have that same separation, grab your little trusty rubber mallet, give it a couple taps where you need, wherever it might be, figure out how to get it lined up. Think of your center bracket is gonna be your focal point. You hit this end, and that's gonna bring it in and out. So use that as you will, but that's how you can get it lined up. Once you get it lined up, grab your 2 19 millimeters, go under here. You got one side here, other side here, and start tightening. All right, that's the last bolt, all nice and tight. I think we're all done in the installation. We'll see you on the next one.